Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our final season simulation of our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode. So in last episode, it could have been the last episode, but we didn't have a certain retirement that to Asher Vance. We did lose Brossoit though, which was kind of a big blow to this team, but we are still going to be doing one more season because I obviously want to see how Vance finishes off his career because he's very close to hitting 1,000 career goals. And then also we still have like goal scorers like Dallas Bruce, who we'd like to see a little bit more of. Same with Johnny Hawley and Curtis Coburn. So I think this should be an interesting final season to see if we make the playoffs again, and if so, how far do we go? Because last year we obviously came one goal shy of winning the Stanley Cup, but we lost in overtime. So hopefully this team could have a good run again this year and kind of maybe go out with a Stanley Cup. If we don't, I just hope that at least Vance could hit 1,000 goals because that would be nice. He should be able to because he's 38 goals away and he's been still consistently hitting around 30 goals. He's on the third line and also on all the top power play lines, so he should be able to get to 38, but he honestly could come just short because he is probably going to be still dropping off throughout the season, but I hope that he could produce at a good level. But anyways, before we get into this final season simulation and see if we make the playoffs or not, I have two comments from Michael Dose. The first one says, one more season with some hard eyes. And I agree. I'm kind of now excited for this final season. I wasn't when we got to the off season because to me, contract stuff is always kind of like a little bit tedious at times. But to actually get back to the start of another season, it's exciting to see what Vance and the boys could do. And yeah, hopefully they could go for another Stanley Cup. And then finally, he says, should spend every single dollar of cap space and get as many great players as possible since it's the last season. And I'm going to try and spend as much of cap as possible for sure, but I'm definitely not going to want to replace guys like Vance and all that. I think what we are going to be looking at to start this episode is to upgrade our center depth because at the moment, it's probably the weakest it's been in quite some time. I do still like Bennett as a top line center, but you can see it drops off at Atkinson, who's only a second line center at 81 overall, which is a little bit weird. And you also have Burish. I think what I would like to do hypothetically is move Burish down to a fourth line center. I know technically he's not really in that type of role, or he shouldn't be in that type of role, but I still want to kind of give us a bit more depth in the middle, and Atkinson could be third line center next to Vance in Brookbank since he's a playmaker. That should work out. Actually, it's not going to work out that nicely, but still that would be probably a good thing. And we get ourselves a new second line center to put between the two youngsters in Bruce and Hawley, who should be pretty much like the future of this offensive core with Curtis Coburn. So there's that, and we could probably look to upgrade the defensive core a little bit too at some stages, but all in all, this is a pretty solid looking team. We should be a playoff team, but then again, I don't know how we're going to simulate. And also, when we do bring in this center to help out our center depth, Connor Recchi will probably be getting waived and sent down to the AHL just because honestly, I can't use him like this as a 76 overall in the forward core. I do love this guy. He's had a great career, but I don't think there's a home for him on this NHL roster, unfortunately. So he's likely going to fall short of like 1,400 games, and he's going to be going down to the AHL for the year, even though he's been a good player. If he actually has a really good year in the AHL, maybe we find a way to call him back up, but I think it's better for him to actually play in the AHL where he can maybe help out some youngsters that maybe need the help. I know the AHL is pretty stacked, but I think he could help out some young guys in the AHL, hopefully get to that next level. Like, if we would have been able to do more seasons in this, we could have had like Girard, Canzanello, Ribeiro, maybe even in the lineup. There's like Alvin Porter down there, so there's a lot of solid players that definitely could have been here in the NHL at some point, but they're not going to be able to reach it just because we didn't get to the end of this. But there is that, and yeah, let's get into that trade and get ourselves another centerman, which it is the guy I was looking at the end of last episode from Arizona. If you guys remember, there was a guy by the name, I think it was Jamie Neal. Let me actually take a look. Yeah, I think it's Jamie Neal. Yeah, Jamie Neal. This guy's a second line center. He's 83 overall, so it's not a huge upgrade from Atkinson, so to speak, but he's a power forward, which is something we don't really have a lot of. Actually, no, we do have a lot of nowadays. We didn't at one point, but he should be able to give us some offense. He's got great face-off stats, which is good because obviously we want to win the draw as much as possible. And based on his career, he's been a little bit inconsistent, I'd say, at times. Looks like one year he only played 40 games, so he might have some injury troubles, but he's a pretty good player in terms of like being able to score like at least 20 plus goals a season and have sometimes like around 40 to 60 points. And his playoff numbers aren't terrible either, so I think it's just going to be a good little addition to add to our team. It's not like going to be like the most groundbreaking addition unless he plays really good with our line mates, but we'll bring him in, and that will also put us into, I think, having still like $8 million of cap space. So we'll see if we're going to make any other trades this year as this team simulates. Like if they're under simulating, maybe I'll make some more trades to use more of that cap space we have. But for right now, I think this is the only addition we're going to make. Now, what's interesting is there's multiple offers thrown at us. So there's like a second rounder, Nordgren, there's Fergon, and a third rounder, and then there's Omen and Bluin. Bluin would make sense because obviously we're never going to see the light of day with this guy. Omen, kind of the same boat, but he's in the AHL, so I don't really want to screw with the AHL in a sense. Fergon is currently a scratch defender, and he doesn't fit that well with our team. And you have Nordgren, who's in the AHL, who really shouldn't be in the AHL, especially considering he's making $1 million more than Fergon. I'm thinking I'm leaning towards moving out Fergon just because even though he is the younger defender, he is making technically less money in a sense, and I feel like then we could just call up Nordgren in a way instead. But let me just take a look here and see what Fergon's fit is looking like, because if he's actually not that bad of a fit for our team, let's see, where is the thingamajiggy? Does it even show it? It's not even showing where he fits on our lines the best on the screen. God damn, I'm going to have to actually go back and check that out first before we go to that trade. I think that's the trade we're going to probably make is Fergon, and I will call up Nordgren as a depth defenseman. Probably then waive Recchi, like I was mentioning, because I think Recchi needs to probably play in the AHL for a year or for the rest of this, unfortunately. But let me see here. So for Gunn, now we can take it. Yeah, now we can. Yeah, see, he's not a great fit for the top 6 defensive pairing, and that's pretty much the only place he could slot in our roster. So I think his time here is going to be done, and he's going to be the player that gets dealt instead, because I believe, I don't know if this is based on the AHL wise. This might be based on the AHL coach. I think Nordgren might be a much better fit for our NHL roster as a depth defenseman, so that's why we're going to move Fergon instead of Nordgren. So let's go back to that trade and do that one with the Arizona Coyotes. So Neil, and yeah, we'll give you guys Fergon, give you guys a nice young defenseman and a 3rd round pick. So there is the trade, and that is done. So welcome aboard to Jamie Neal, and hopefully he could help us. And yeah, we want to call up Nordgren as our depth defenseman, which means we are going to have to waive Connor Recchi. I don't think he gets claimed. If he gets claimed, I'm going to be kind of pissed off, but I don't think anybody wants to claim a 76 that's making $2 million bucks. So there you go. That should be good. Let's go back to edit lines here. Looks like a couple guys lost overall points because of that. Let's just go best lines, and yeah, Recchi can play on the second line with Porter and Ribeiro. Why not? Actually, wait a sec. I don't want to put Gerard on the second line, no. Let's get rid of that minus. There we go. Want to see if the AHL team can maybe make some noise this year. And then we brought in, yeah, Jamie Neal. So we are going to scratch Ed Nash, bring in Jamie Neal, and swap some guys down the lineup. There we go. The center depth has actually dropped off overall wise again. What the heck? Bennett dropped to an 84. Atkinson down to, or up to an 82, and Bursch to an 80. That's a bit weird. I don't want Atkinson as a 4th line center. Vance dropped down to an 80 now. Why is it so weird when you make trades like that? Oh man. Yeah, I think this is going to be our team. And we just got to get Jamie Neal onto the power play, I think, instead of Bursch. I feel like Bursch is going to complain about ice time if that happens, so we might have to keep Bursch as a power play guy. He was actually pretty good as a power play dude before, but we will put, let's see. Yeah, we'll put instead of, was it Bennett a playmaker? Yeah, he was. Let's take Bennett off this penalty kill and get Jamie Neal some penalty kill time. That way he's at least getting a little bit more ice time, because or else he might complain considering he only would have 5-on-5 time, which would not be great. So yeah, we'll take Bennett off both of these and put Jamie Neal in that spot, and that's good. So there we go. I think that's going to be our only change to start this episode. Is Jamie Neal actually a good fit here? He's a better fit for the top line. If I was to optimize this, how would it look? Atkinson's best for the 4th line. Bursch is best for where? The 4th line. Okay, so Bursch will stay as 4th line. 1st line would be the next best for Atkinson, or 3rd line, and then Bennett is better for 4/2 line. Yeah, we'll leave it like this, I guess. Yep. Perfect. Okay. We are ready to go and see how this team does in the final season. I'm really hoping that we can make it to the playoffs, but if that doesn't happen, like I said, as long as Asher Vance could hit 1,000 career goals, that'd be great. If he only has a 20-goal season in his last year, I would be kind of surprised, but I think he should be able to get another good season in him, but we'll see if that is the case. And like I said, if we aren't doing too well to start the season, maybe we'll look to make some defensive changes, because our defensive core definitely could use a little bit of work, so there might become some more players readily available for us at the trade deadline or earlier than that, because the block right now didn't really have a whole lot of what we were looking for. So let's see how we do preseason wise. Neil was never injured. Hopefully he doesn't have any injury troubles, because that would not be good. And preseason wise, we go 3-4, so not the best preseason, but that doesn't really mean anything. Dallas Bruce led the way. Interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if Vance is still going to be the top goal scorer on our team, or if like guys like Dallas Bruce, Curtis Coburn, and Hawley, if they are the ones that start taking over in the goal scoring department, or if Vance could continue like his amazing career he's had. So let's go to the end of this month and see how we do. Kind of take it a little bit slow, because obviously if we rush too much, we might miss the playoffs. So don't want that happening. And we start off the season with 2 wins in a row. Nice. 3 wins in a row, and we've only allowed a goal over those 3 games. So good defense. And then, of course, Timo Jokela goes down with another injury this season. Fractured jaw. Out till November the 7th. That's a big shot to the defensive core. We'll just go replace player for now. There's another great defensive game, though. Another win. A shootout loss that's still a point. Another win. And another win. We are 7-0-1 in our first 8 games. That's a great start. No regulation losses so far, and we are currently the best team in the NHL. Kind of surprised that we managed to win some games even without Jokela in the lineup, and Hawley's point per game. And he's the only probably point per game player, which means maybe we have really good depth scoring to start the season. I don't really want to take a look at player stats yet till we get to the end of the season, so or closer to the midpoint waypoint of the season, but this is a good start. And Jokela should be back within a few days, which is good. That will help bolster our defensive core a little bit more. Let's go to actually when he's supposed to return. That way we could just get him back into the lineup. There's another win. Jeez, man. There's our first regulation loss as Jokela has returned. So we do get 1 regulation loss without Jokela, but this team is still doing really well. So we'll get Jokela in there. Wait, what was it that we're taking out? Yeah, it was Nordgren. It was Nordgren, I thought so. I had to double check on that. And boom. Oh, another loss. Okay, we've lost back-to-back now. Maybe we're going to start all of a sudden going on a big losing streak, but hopefully not the case. Let's go to the end of this month. Take it a little bit slow, like I said, but not too slow either, because I don't want these episodes being like an hour plus long. But then again, if it's a finale almost episode, it makes sense. Like if we miss the playoffs in this episode, next episode will just be a full-on recap. But if we make the playoffs, obviously the next episode, which I'll be putting up technically, I guess from when you guys see this, this would be Friday. The next episode will be up literally the next morning, because I'll be probably uploading on a Saturday, so which is kind of weird for NHL, but got to get these last 2 episodes out for you guys. I know this series has been kind of draggy at times, but it's been a decently fun series at times, but also it's been probably one of my worst series in terms of actually winning Stanley Cups in, so that's not great. 15-4-1 in our first 20 games. We are actually doing really well. Dallas Bruce leading the team in points, and he's over point per game. I'm liking the way this team is simulating right now, because you can see between the last wildcard spot in the West, we are 6 points up, and we do have games in hand as well, so we're up to a good start. Hopefully it could continue on the way. Let's continue till the end of December, and maybe do a little bit of an update and see where guys are sitting, see if we need to actually make any changes before we simulate the next half of the season. That's back-to-back losses, not great, but that's okay. We beat St. Louis, who was actually a really good team in the standings as well, so that's a good sign. But I feel like we're going to have a good season and then be like a first-round exit. You never know, right? But honestly, when we ever have really good seasons, I feel a little bit skeptical at times. Like, this is maybe one of our best seasons yet in terms of, like, early wins. We did just lose 3 straight games, though. 23-9-2. Not too bad. Still first place at 34 games into the season. Dallas Bruce leading us at 33 points. Last wildcard spot in the West has 40 points, and we're 8 points up on that. We're in a pretty good spot, but we definitely need to just keep on the gas pedal, so to speak. Let's take a look at our team stats, see if there's any outline team stat right now here, 34 games in. We're currently the 4th best team in the NHL, which is nice. We have way less games played than every team that's above us, too, which is nice. Goals for per game wise, looks like we aren't the most insanely good offensive team. We are still like top 15, which is good. But in goals against, we are elite defensively. I don't know what has changed with this team, if it's the goaltending, if it's a defensive core, but all of a sudden we are the best defensive team by a large margin. I don't know if it holds up the entire season, but we've only allowed 72 goals on the season for 2.12 goals against per game. So Tayupkin might be having another really good game. Our power play has been good though, so we're not scoring 5-on-5, it seems like, as much. And our penalty kill has been elite as well, so everything seems to be really simulating good. Except for like the offense, 5-on-5 is a little bit lower, but that is okay kind of. So I do like that quite a bit. Let me take a look at the halfway point, who is doing what on our team. Let's just go through forwards, not through each position individually, but looks like we're getting good depth scoring at the moment. How is Vance doing? Oh, yikes. I don't think Vance hits 1,000 career goals, guys. He needs 38, and he's at 9 through 34. Which means he's only on pace for, like, I don't even know, probably like 20-something, maybe less than that even. He's regressed quite hard. He might actually be lower than an 80 overall now at this point. Let me do some math here. So 9 divided by 34, and we'll times that by 82 games. Yeah, he's only on pace for like 21 goals. He needs to like pick it up quite a bit. Like, he's not shooting as much as he used to, I think. But he's still an 80 overall, but he's definitely not doing as well as he was at one point. Brookbank's also kind of sliding off, but it could be like the depth scoring that's hurting our team in a sense in that way. Why Vance isn't scoring, because there's a lot of other guys that are scoring, because you have Holly at 10 goals, you have Coburn at 14. Jamie Neal came in and has 16 goals, which is great. And then Dallas Bruce is on 18. So those guys have been scoring a lot. The depth scoring, though, is great on this team. Everybody's like 14 plus points, except for Laxo. And defensively, Yokel has been great, even though he missed some games due to injury. He's leading our defensive core. Kachuk's been good. Ross Carter, or not Ross Carter, goddamn, I said Ross Carter again. Raymond Carter has been good, -4 though. Kalpanen's been great defensively, same with Belak in his first season. I like it. Benino's been okay, and Nordgren has barely played, but he's been solid. And then, holy shit, the goaltending numbers. I don't think these are going to hold up, but Tayukin's played 32 games, and he's got a .935. With just above a 2 goals against average. And you have Devin, who's at a .954 as the backup. I don't think those numbers are going to hold, but if they do, jeez, man. I didn't expect Tayupkin all of a sudden become that type of elite goaltender. Because last year he was really good. Years before that he was kind of just more average, but he's starting to find himself, which is great. Okay, I don't think there was anything that I wanted to change about our lineup yet. I could also take a look at the trading block and see if there's any new things out there for us. But I feel like it's mostly just going to be the same type of things. Let's see. Boscheman. I'd probably look more for a defenseman if I was going to change anything, even though we are the best defensive team. A defensive upgrade would be good over Belak, but it's not necessarily needed. Like, I know you guys think we should probably spend close to the cap, but we honestly might not even do that. It really depends on how we do, I guess, leading up to the trade deadline. Because if we start to fall off, then we could definitely do that. But if we don't fall off, might as well stay the course, so to speak. But then also that could hurt us in terms of the playoffs. Because sometimes if you don't make a move, I feel like you guaranteed like get knocked out round 1. If you do make a move, though, sometimes it also backfires. So it's like it's a hard thing to kind of decide on. Oh, Morita's pretty good, but $12 million? No, thank you. I know it's technically the last year, but that would be not a good cap hit to bring in. I don't even know if we had have the cap to bring him in. What else we got here? Not seeing any huge upgrade of defensemen. At least on reasonable contracts. Like, if they're making like $8 million for a year, that's fine. But if they were making it for multiple, it's like, eh. Because if Vance doesn't retire this season, I kind of like, even though I'm not going to be recording videos of this, I kind of still want to see how Vance's career would wrap up. So, we'll see. Like, I'm not going to necessarily make videos out of the series after this season ends, but if he doesn't retire, I could honestly still simulate some maybe outside of YouTube and then update you guys. But I think he should retire this year, based on the fact that he's in AHL top 6 now. I am not seeing a lot out there. A lot of prospects, which is not really what we're looking for at this stage. So the trade deadline might be the best bet to look at upgrading our defensive core if our team has fallen off. There's Payer, but I wouldn't say he's a huge upgrade. Looks like he's having a solid defensive season. He's a DFD. I don't mind this guy, but I don't really know if he's really that big of an upgrade. He's got great plus-minus throughout his career. He's been with Vegas since the beginning of his career. Yeah, he's not bad. And the $6 million cap hit is affordable, so maybe I look into that guy a little bit just to see what it would cost us. Let's see, what would it cost us for John Payer? Actually, I should go to the trade finder. Easier thing than just going trade for asset. Let's see, Vegas. John Payer. How are they even doing this season? I wonder. No trades found. Okay, so we'd have to just make a trade with him. He doesn't have a lot of value, but would he be needed for this defensive core right now at this time? See, I'm thinking of upgrading him from like taking Belak, making Belak like a depth defenseman instead. And then Benino is still on the defensive core, and then basically we would probably waive Nordgren again, is what I'm thinking. Is this guy a left-handed defenseman or right? I think he's probably a left-hander though, because most D-men are left-handers, or most players are left-handers. Let me see again. Payer. He is a lefty. He's listed as a top 4. If I brought him in as a shutdown guy next to Jokela, that might be a good move. Because Belak is an OFD, and then technically he's right now with Kelpinen, who's a two-way, so it's a bit of an offensive pairing. And then you have Kachuk, who's a DFD. If we bring it into a DFD into this top 4, it would help out quite a bit in terms of goals against, I think. But we're not simulating like a bad team right now. Belak's a plus 14, but that honestly could easily change once we get to the playoffs. I don't really want to scratch Belak, but I think that's a good move in a sense. Like, we could also scratch Benino technically, but he is technically listed as a top 6. So, yeah, I think I'm going to bring in that Payer dude, and I'm going to scratch Belak. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I just got to double check, though, that Payer is actually a really good fit here. Is maybe he'll make that defensive core minus, because our defensive core has been a little bit temperamental at times with the chemistry. Let's see, Payer again. Is he a good fit? Or do we know if he's a good fit? We don't yet. It says he doesn't fit anything based on our current coach, though. See, that's where I'm kind of like, do I need to bring him in? I don't think I'm going to bring him in yet, actually. I think I'm going to wait till the trade deadline, and if our team's starting to fall off defensively, maybe then I'll look into bringing him in. But right now, I don't think it's worth bringing him in. He might not be on the block still at that point in time, but I think even though we could use a defensive upgrade, if he doesn't fit our defense score and he makes the chemistry worse, it's going to hurt us. So we would rather just continue simulating and hopefully continuing being a good defensive team. If we're not, then we could look into bringing him in potentially, or somebody else if somebody else gets thrown on the block. But let's continue to simulate here, because we're only 34 games in. Go to the end of this month and see if anything has changed. Because currently we're a solid offensive team, and we're good on the power play, good on the penalty kill, and the best defensive team. Will that change by the end of this month? If it doesn't, then we honestly might just want to stay course. We're off to a good start defensively for this month, as we just lost a game. But Lane Atkinson has been injured. It's only for a few days, but that's kind of a big blow to the offensive core a little bit. And Jokela has now been injured too, so we're getting slapped with a few injuries here early in January. So that's going to definitely hurt our defensive play a little bit. Yokel is a little bit injury prone, which I'm not really too happy with, but at least he's still been a pretty solid defenseman since bringing him in. He is still out, right? Yeah, he's still out, so he should be back relatively soon. Let me stop the sim so I can actually see what's happening here. Still doing well in the simulation, allowing a little bit more goals it looks like this month because we allowed 5 here, 5 here. So the defensive play probably is falling off a little bit, but if it's still the best in the league, it's not really that big of a problem. Yeah, I thought Atkinson would lose morale because of ice time, but hey, we're trying to win a Stanley Cup here. Sometimes you guys got to sacrifice your ice time to get this team into the playoffs, so to speak. We're not here to try and have a bunch of complainers in the locker room. There's a couple losses in a row. It's a little bit of a slide there. There's a shootout loss as well, which at least gets us a point. And there's a win. 30, 13, and 5. Still doing relatively well, but probably some stats have fallen off, my guess. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that. See if we fell off on our defensive play a lot or not. Because we know that we were still the 4th best team, but now we're the 3rd best team. Our offense seems to be improving. Yeah, it has improved over that month. Goals against per game wise, we are still the best defensive team, but it definitely has gotten a little bit worse, but it's still really good. And we still have the 2nd best power play. And we still have one of the best penalty kills. So our penalty kill is sliding a little bit, but we are still a very good team all around. And if the offense is getting better, we're obviously sacrificing more goals against, but we're still playing really good in the defensive end. Because, let's see. Wow, Vance is all of a sudden at 14 goals. He's not going to hit that 38 goal plateau, though, I don't think, which is kind of sucks. But yeah, look at that. Devin's stats dropped off a cliff during that month. So he got a lot of starts, and that's probably why we lost a few games. But Tayukin still has over a 930 save percentage, so it's just Devin that's kind of dropping the ball here a little bit. But he had only like 2 games played at the start of the month, so he must have got a lot more time during that month, and that's what kind of helped us drop off a little bit. Okay, let's continue simulating here a little bit. Still liking the way our team is simulating, so that's good. It's kind of funny that we're up there with like Carolina in the standings, though, since we lost to them in the Cup Finals last year. We should have won the Stanley Cup then, because if we would have won the Stanley Cup, I probably would have maybe not gone another season. Hard to say, because obviously I would like to see still how Vance would have done, but it's hard to think about that. Yeah, we're definitely kind of sliding on the defensive front here. We've lost quite a bit of games where we've allowed a lot of goals, but we've also had some solid wins. 33, 16, and 5. Let's go to the first. Get these 3 games done here in February. There's a shootout loss, a loss again, and another loss. Geez, yeah, we're kind of sliding a lot here. 33, 18, and 6 is still good, but our defensive play has definitely started to decline. Because if we go to entire league-wise, we have fallen from 3rd to 6th. We are still one of the best offensive teams in the league. The goals against per game wise, we are now we're still the best defensive team, but we are very close to becoming worse defensively than the Vancouver Canucks, who are very close to us. So we've definitely taken a bit of a hit on the defensive front. And our penalty kill and power play have also slid a little bit, I think. Maybe not our power play, actually. Has our penalty kill slid more? A little bit. It's still the 2nd best, so I think it's just a little bit of a slide that the game has given us because we were off to a good start. It kind of wants to neutralize us in a way. But maybe we look for that defensive change now since we're very close to the deadline. Let me see if there's anything that has changed out there on the trading block. Or are we going to be looking at that guy from Vegas still? Because that guy from Vegas might be the best option, even if he doesn't fit our defensive core fully. Let's see. Looking for a good upgrade on the defensive core. The 80 overall is not a huge upgrade, but it could still be a decent upgrade. We could also look at teams that aren't trying to move specific players that way. Let's see. If Vegas is in a playoff spot now, they might not want to move that guy. There's Mara. Oh, that's actually even better. 81 DFD fits our top pairing. That's actually exactly what we kind of need. Zachary Mara, that's why we waited. He might be a minus 19 this year, but he's on a pretty bad Minnesota Wild team, I think. So that's probably why. He's got good defensive awareness, shot blocking, and stick checking. Yeah, I think this guy might be the dude. Let me just take a look at how bad Minnesota's been doing standings-wise here in the division. Yeah, they're the bottom of the division, so it's not his fault for being that bad plus-minus-wise. What would it cost us to get Mara in for our defensive core? I should probably look at every single other option too, but what would it cost for Mara? For our top pairing? A 5th rounder in Khudobin who's currently scratched, or Khudobin in a 7th rounder? Excuse me? What? Okay, I gotta bring this up to EA as well, because the thing is, Khudobin is involved in both these trades, but one of them involves a 5th rounder and one involves a 7th rounder. 7th rounder should have a little bit less value than a 5th rounder, but apparently it doesn't. Maybe it makes sense. Maybe this is a bad draft class and those rounds don't matter, but in real life this would make no sense, I think. Huh. Would I be willing to give up Khudobin? He's one of our depth forwards. I don't know. I might have to look into a different type of deal with them, but Mara, I think, might be our top option here, even if he's 34. Let me take a look at what else is on the block after Minnesota, though. But I think Mara would be good since he's actually a guy that could fit our system. Unlike the other guy who wasn't able to fit our system. See, Morita would be good, but the cap hit just does not work for me. And does he fit even our pairings? He fits our top 6 pairing, but that's it. So he would be more of a top 2 kind of defenseman to bring in. Let's see. Not seeing anything there. Like, we don't really need the offensive help. I think it's more the defensive play. Since we're playing good defensively right now, but it's sliding, I want to kind of get it back to where it used to be, in a way. That Ackerstrom guy's not really an upgrade. He's an offensive defenseman, so not even going to look at him. We're looking more for shutdown DFDs if possible. Might have to just look for DFDs throughout the entire league and see if there's anybody else that'd get moved. Standard's decent as well, but he's a 2-way. He's minus 22, so Tampa's not doing too good again. Former 6th overall pick. Huh. Right-handed demon, that's kind of nice. Does fit our defensive pairings and our penalty kill lines, but he's a 2-way. Huh. I don't really want a 2-way. I want more of a shutdown guy, I think. If I'm not mistaken. I'll probably end up pre-recording the next episode as well, like the playoff episode, but I'll wow, Pear's dropping off. They must be scratching this guy. Yeah, I think they're scratched him. Huh. He doesn't really fit our system. That's the only problem, so that's why I'm not bringing him in. Yeah, I think that guy in Minnesota might be honestly our best option. But let me take a quick look at player search and see if there's any good DFDs out there on teams that are not in the playoffs. So who is the bottom of our division right now? We have the Wild. There's like the Ducks, the Devils, and the Lightning. Okay. Let me just go to player search here, see if there's any good shutdown demon that would not be on the block. We want guys that are probably like 20 years old and older. And we'll go 4 stars. We'll go defenseman. We'll go top 4, I guess. And we want DFDs. We want a DFD. And let's see what we got here. Okay, so there's a bunch of young guys that obviously I'm not going to bring in. We have Verdi Carter on our team. We already have Kachuk on our team. Van Allen, but he's young, so he probably wouldn't want to get moved. There's Gunderson, but I don't think he's really going to be much of an upgrade. He's on a good team, so that doesn't make sense. Holmberg, he's probably on a good team as well. Yeah, I think we got to look at the one guy. Byers is on a good team as well. Bradford is on a good team. Most of these guys are on good teams, so I think we got to look at that one dude we were looking at. Let's see, 29 to 30 years old. Tunnell, plus 34. Jeez. Yeah, San Jose is probably doing really well. Grattan, minus 9. So Anaheim's not doing well this season. Yeah, they weren't. Is Michael Grattan better? No, he doesn't fit our team system. Yeah, and then there's Payer as well. I think we got to go for that guy in Minnesota. We got to go for that guy in Minnesota. So let's go make a trade with Minnesota. I don't want to actually go to the trade finder, because I'm not going to give up Khudobin because we need him as a depth forward. we will probably look to give up, what's his name? Nordgren into Steel instead. Because Nordgren's currently our depth defenseman, but Belak will be. So we'll give up Nordgren. And since you guys wanted a 5th or a 7th rounder with Kudobin, who has how much value? Not a lot. I should be able to add like a 4th round pick to this deal, and that might get it done. Let's see. 4th rounder, let's go to Minnesota. See if they actually want these guys. They don't, but that's okay. And we don't really give a crap at this point. And then we want Mara. I don't even know if I need to give up a 4th rounder. I might have to just do the 5th rounder like they were asking with Kudobin. Let's see. Actually, did they want future 5th rounders? Yeah, they wanted future picks, not this year's picks. So let's give them a 5th rounder for next year with Nordgren from Mara. And yeah, we have the cap space, so we will be cap compliant. Got to make sure on that front. Let's see if this works. That's accepted, so perfect. We managed to finesse ourselves a nice DFD, and hopefully that helps us out in the defensive play. And players are gaining some morale because of that, because apparently he's a quality player, which is great. And yeah, Belak is going to get scratched here, and Mara is going to come in, and its chemistry is still the same pretty much. We are going to not have Mara on the power play though, because obviously that doesn't really make sense. Who should be on the power play? Kelpinen wasn't, right? Yeah, Kelpinen will get on the 2nd unit. Why not? We'll get Kelpinen in there. And we'll put him also on this unit too. Just because I don't think a DFD on the power play really makes much sense. So, but we will get him onto the penalty kill lines as well if he's not in a specific spot. Oh, he's already in the top one. Yeah, that's fine. That is fine. So our team is going to probably run with this for the rest of the season. We could still upgrade our center depth technically, but it's been good, the offense. The defense now looks much better as well. And then the goaltending is still solid. So, and yeah, we didn't even get rid of any of depth. Yes, it sucks to scratch Belak after he was a plus 12 through 57 games, but I'm kind of sheltering the offensive defenseman a little bit here. Because obviously we don't want him giving up a lot of goals, because since he's an OFD, he's probably going to be prone to mistakes on the defensive front. We now have 3 DFDs in our defensive core, so hopefully that makes us a good shutdown team for the rest of the season. So let's simulate up to the trade deadline, see if there's anything else out there at the actual trade deadline itself. If there's not, we'll probably just not make any more trades this season, but hopefully that shutdown D-man could help us out here. Because if we get back to that defensive form again, that would be great. But we are still sliding off a little bit, it looks like, defensively over those last 2 games. Which is not ideal, but it is what it is. We are still probably going to be a playoff team, which is nice. So let's enter the trade deadline and see what is on the block. If there's anything else interesting. A lot of goalies on the block. Literally the 4 top players in the trade deadline are all goaltenders. Which is really weird. 5 of them actually now. And then there's Merida. There's Antons, who's an OFD. We don't really need an OFD. Another goalie. Yeah, there's a lot of goalies on the block this year. Probably just getting terrible contracts from teams. Tutu's not really a huge offensive upgrade. I mean, he's a decent player, wasn't he? Oh, there's already a trade. Columbus has made one. So they changed for make a trade for Antons. The block has changed a bit because of that. The top 10 players. Yeah, that was Antons that got dealt. The offensive defenseman. Trying to think. Yeah, I don't think we really need to make any trades. It's kind of weird, though, that there's literally that much goalies, but it's all because a lot of them are on 1 year left or getting paid a lot of money. Oh, we got a trade offer here at the deadline. Omen, who is the top prospect, Boulderis in a 3rd for Morales, Kasivi, and Havlud. That's a lot of junk, I feel like. I don't feel like we need this, and it would probably put us over the cap. Because Morales is a pretty good player. Don't get me wrong. Pretty good player, but I have nowhere to slot him in. I'm not scratching Vance. And then you have Ethan Kasivi, who is a younger guy. Probably a load of crap. And then you have Havlid, who's dropped off a lot probably because of morale. Yeah, I'm not doing that. No way in hell, Pittsburgh. No way in hell. I'll see if any other teams approach me with some trade offers, though, because might as well. Might as well just hang out here for a little bit on the trade deadline screen. So a couple of guys have been traded. I think all three of these guys were in the same trade, which is interesting. So there is that. Off the market. All three of these Columbus guys got taken off the market, so I guess they're trying to make the playoffs here. Let's see, has the top 10 oh, this is just available now. Okay. Oh, yeah, it was 2-2 I was like looking at. He's a good centerman, but is the price point kind of high for him? Let me actually go to the trade finder. Because on 1 year left, I would upgrade our center depth, but I don't really know if he's that type of player. We don't really need to upgrade it too much, but I just want to see what the cost for somebody like 2-2 is. You're not getting Asher Vance from me. Not in hell. I mean, this is a good... if Vance wasn't a channel legend, this would make sense, but it doesn't, and I'm not giving you Brookbank. No chance in hell. No chance in hell. Any offer that gets thrown at me for Asher Vance, I'll immediately laugh at and say, fuck you, no way. Martindale. Top 6 grinder. I don't really want a top 6 grinder, to be honest. There was Griffin, who's a really good player in Montreal, or he was back in the day. 36 years old, $10.8 million. Still listed as a first-line center. This guy's been a pretty storybook player for Montreal because he was playing with, what's his name? With that one dude that for some reason I can't remember his name. But yeah, to get somebody like him would cost us Asher Vance again. A first rounder and all that. And yeah, I'm not doing that. Omen for a third, a fifth, and Dupre. No, thank you. I'm not looking to bring in prospects for a prospect. No, thank you. Okay, I don't think we're going to make any trades because these offers are not doing too much for me. So that's going to be our team for the rest of the season. You guys might think it's a big risk, but we got to sometimes roll the dice here a little bit, so to speak. Do I want to claim this guy on waivers? Not really. You got guys in the AHL that could come up. Like Canzanella might be able to get some time in the playoffs. We might call it Brecky again. Who knows? Let's go to the end of this month, and then we just got April to simulate. Hopefully we have a good little bit of a month here. Jorgen Klingberg, a goaltender. No, thank you. Don't need depth goaltenders. I know in like some of my series I've had like 3 goaltenders, but not going to do it in this series. Another depth defenseman. No, thank you. We already got ours. Yeah, we're definitely sliding on the defensive front of things, but we should be a playoff team as long as we don't keep losing games, which we are losing a lot. No! Oh my goodness, no. This game knows how to slap me in the face. Marian Tayupkin has torn his groin. He will miss the entire playoffs. Which means we have to rely on Devin to get us a Stanley Cup in this last season. I don't think we're going to win the Stanley Cup now because of that. Tayupkin's been a great player this season. I don't know if he's slotted off or not, but that means Hanzus will come in, which he's not that bad considering he's a 79 now, but we're going to have to rely on him and Devin to win us a Stanley Cup. That is not great. Devin has not been the best of goaltenders, and then Hanzus has really not played much. Man, that sucks. Maybe I should have claimed that goalie on waivers, huh? Maybe that's what the game was doing. Is it's like you need to claim a goaltender because your goalie's going to get hurt. And we have fallen off quite a bit here in this month. We are still top of our division, though, but not by much. But us sliding off a lot might be good in a way that we're kind of like a little bit streakier because maybe it gives us a longer chance to like actually a longer run in the playoffs, so to speak. But yeah, we have definitely fallen off on the defensive side of things, I think, like going into these last few games of the season. Let me take a look at this quickly. See if we've fallen off a lot. We are now the 8th best team, so yeah, we're still not one of the best teams in the league, but we are still in like the exact same spot offensively. But goals against per game wise, we have fallen off to number 4. So we used to be the best defensive team, but not so much anymore. But that's okay. We're still really good defensively, apparently. And power play wise, we're still the 2nd best on the power play. And penalty kill wise, we are still one of the best. Okay. Yeah, the penalty kill has definitely been the thing that's fallen off a lot, but we do have tied for the most shorthanded goals in the league, so that's kind of neat. Huh. Okay, let's continue simulating. We should be a playoff team. We just got to lock it down, basically, and get that playoff spot. And then, yeah, I'm really concerned about that Tayukin injury. I think that's the longest goaltending injury I've ever had. I don't think I've never seen a goalie out for that long, because the playoffs, I think he won't return if we even get to the Cup Finals, because the draft and stuff like that's on the 21st. So there's a good chance his season was just ended right there. Why couldn't it be like a day-to-day injury? Jeez. Okay, let's do 4 of our final 8 games as we look to clinch a playoff spot, or 5 of our last 9 games, I should say. Ooh, still falling off a lot here. We have not clinched yet. Not clinched yet. 92 points. We should be clinching soon, though, because the wild card spot, last one, is at 84. So, even though we have been sliding quite a bit in the second half, we are still probably going to be making the playoffs because of a good start to the year. Let's get this game against LA done. And another shootout loss. What is with these extra frame losses? 3 straight of them. And yeah, we clinched the playoff spot because of that. So let's get these last few games done. And we win one against St. Louis. The last game of Asher Vance's NHL career probably here is against Seattle. Can we get the win here in it? Yes, we can. 6-2. So we finished the season 43, 28, and 11. Not the best season in the world, but not the worst for sure. We actually end up winning our division with 97 points. So that's kind of weird that we won our division, because usually you win the division with a lot more points than that. But we managed to win it this year, so that's really good. And yeah, the Canucks are a crazy good team apparently. Same with the Sharks, but they're probably both first round exits, my guess. Hurricanes also had a good season after winning the Stanley Cup. Rangers up there. Okay. Let's take a look at the standings and player stats for the season. Wrap up this final regular season tonight. Like I said, I'll probably simulate or already pre-record afterwards the playoff episode and all that, and kind of like recap in a way too, because it's probably going to be a recap in a sense as well if we get like eliminated early on. I don't know how long this team's going to have a good playoff run for, but we'll see. So we finished as the 7th best team in the NHL, which is pretty good. We didn't break 100 points, but we were still pretty solid. We were the 4th best offensive team in the league, and the only non-100-point team to hit or to be up there in goals for. Detroit was also up there actually, and they were even below us. Goals against per game wise, we were the 4th best defensive team. Vancouver ended up finishing number 1. They won the President's Trophy. It makes sense. Yeah, they got much better defensively as the season went on. Power play percentage wise, we were at 24.4, which was 2nd best, so good power play numbers. And our penalty kill was also very solid. So in general, good season, I'd say, all things considered. We might not have hit 100 points, we might have had a slide, but we were still like top 10 in almost everything. We had 14 short-handed goals this season, which led the league as well, which is nice. 21, 17, and 3 on home ice, but 22, 11, and 8 on the road. Yeah, see, 4, 3, and 3 in our last 10 games, not ideal, but who knows, maybe it gives us a better chance in the postseason. Let's take a look at our players' stats for this season, see who did what. So, Carl Bennett finished with 70 points. Fantastic season from him. No complaints whatsoever. We brought in Jamie Neal at the beginning of the season. He was kind of like our big offensive addition this year, and he helped us out quite a bit. 29 goals and 58 points. And as you can see below him, Asher Vance had 28 goals and 58 points. So he finished 10 goals shy, I think, of 1,000 goals. If he doesn't retire, like I said, I might end up playing this offline and seeing if he hits 1,000 goals, which he probably would at this stage if he doesn't retire. But since he's likely to retire, he's going to probably finish with like 990 goals, which kind of sucks, but is what it is. Lane Atkinson, 46 points, pretty solid. Burge had 38 points, but was a minus 15 because he was playing on the 4th line. Yikes. Barely anything from Nash. Left wing wise, Weston Wharton was pretty good with 78 points. Dallas Bruce hit 36 goals and 73 points. And Curtis Coburn has broken out 47 goals this year. Only 67 points, but 47 goals. That's what I want to see from him. He is definitely starting to find himself offensively. And then Johnny Hawley as well, 27 goals, 55 points. These three guys are definitely the future of this team. Gustafsson, 29 points. Laxo, 22 points. Bad plus minus because they're fourth liners, but all in all, very solid depth scoring, it looks like. And Brookbank had 26 goals and 51 points. Nice. So on the offensive front of things, I do really like how our lineup did. We might not have had a guy point per game or above, but the depth scoring on this team was great. Fourth liners were picking up 20 to 30 points. It's good. Defensively, Jokela kind of struggled in the second half, but still 39 points is really respectable considering he got injured multiple times. Kaupinen was great defensively. Him and Kachuk, both of them had really good plus minus. Bedino, 15 points, not bad. Mara, let's see, with us, was a +5. That's exactly why he was brought in, to help us out defensively, and he did just that. He also helped out with the offense, too. 8 points in 25 games compared to 7 with Minnesota and 56. And then Carter, 15 points, -7. Looks like that top 6 got slammed a bit. And then Belak was scratched for the last bit of the season. Goaltending-wise, Tyupkin was doing so good before his injury. He was probably on a Vezina pace. And then that injury probably took him out of the race because he only has 56 games played. If he still wins the Vezina this year, I'll be very happy for him. But I think that injury will set him back a little bit. And then Devin was not doing good as the backup. See, that's why I don't trust Devin yet. And then Philippe Hanzus came in and was pretty good in his first 3 games of the season at .945 and a 1-0-2 record. So he was that goaltender that had the 2 overtime losses late in the season, or shootout losses 1 and 2. But yeah, I don't really trust Devin, but you never know. Maybe he'll be good in the playoffs. And then hopefully we could get some redemption for Tyupkin's injury. So there is that. Let's take a look at stats across the league as well. And then we're also going to have to see who we're going up against in round 1, as Charlie Gardner led the league in points. Hate this man. I mean, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. But the fact that he scored the cup-winning goal against us, I'll never let him down about that. Jude Warner for them was also number 2. So Carolina with 1 and 2, and then Ekholm for the Rangers up there, Robichaud for the Flames, Afanaganov for the Rangers, and Greening for the Canucks. Best goal scorer of the season was Robichaud with 58. Him and Greening both tied for the Richard. And then you have Charlie Gardner just behind them with 57, Afanaganov with 56, Boschman and Baumgartner with 52. Wasn't Boschman on the block at the trade deadline? I feel like he was. Yeah, he was -17 this year. So he was on a non-playoff team and he had 52 goals. Maybe I should have looked to bring this guy in. Jeez. But Curtis Coburn was like top 10 in offense in terms of goal scoring. So that's really nice to see. I like that. Any Selke candidates, or interesting Selke candidates? Not that we have Reefers anymore, who was usually up there for us. But looks like the best Selke candidate this season is probably Lucas Earl. 56.3% on the draw with 138 takeaways. There's also Jackson Keeping, who has the same face-off percentage but 4 less takeaways. Best defenseman for points this year was Matt Parrott in Philadelphia. Kind of neat that there's a Parrott that's doing really well in this series as well. Denisov up there for Nashville, and then you have Sven Backstrom. It's probably going to go to Denisov because of the plus-minus, but still, Parrott had a great season for Philly. There's another Coburn playing for Detroit, so there's 2 Coburns, apparently. So there is all of that. Best goaltender this season, win-wise, was Rainer Albatoser in San Jose. You also had Ralph Anthony, who had 10 shutouts this season, jeez, with New York. Let's see. I want to sort this by shutouts for a second. Save percentage by starters. Tyupkin is up there as the best save percentage by starter by a large margin. You have Clapperton too, but Clapperton played 8 less games. Trojanovic played 68 games, had a worse save percentage. Is Tyupkin the #1 candidate? He might be. If they give it to Clapperton, I'd be surprised, but Tyupkin could potentially win himself a Vezina this year. If he would have continued and not got injured, he definitely would have won it, but if he doesn't get it because of that injury, they're going to probably give it to somebody like Trojanovic or Anthony, since he had 10 shutouts this year. So there's that. Best rookie. in this last season. Lidstrom for Winnipeg with 65. Okay. So there is all of that. Final thing we got to check is who we are playing in round 1 of the playoffs, and then that'll be it for this episode. And then, like I said, next episode will be pre-recorded, and it'll be the finale. We're going to be taking on Arizona. So the team we literally traded with at the beginning of the season for Jamie Neal almost had the exact same record as us, and they're 8-2 in their last 10 games, but we're going to be taking them on in the first round. I think we played them multiple times. But yeah, next episode will be the entire playoff simulation no matter how far we go. So if we get to the Cup Finals, it might be a very long episode, but if we get knocked out in round 1, maybe it'll be a bit shorter. But this is the Arizona Coyotes led by Fabian Barnett and Matthew Van Kachin. Also this Vermette guy who they must have just recently drafted at 6th overall. Their center depth isn't as good for sure with the addition of the guy we just brought in. But they still have some solid players like Ference, Manderville, Kilger. Pretty good. Defensively, they do have Cameron Schrempf, which is a name for the past, former Boston Bruin. He was a very high up pick, but hasn't really lived up to that offensive potential. Like, he has 561 points, but not really as good as you would have thought for a guy that went, I think he was medium elite potential. So there's that. And Colby Fergon is actually playing in their lineup. So the guy we dealt to them got the play this year. Played all 82 games, had 18 points and a plus 11. So did we make the right move moving Fergon over the other defenseman in Norgren who we moved later on? I don't know. I do not know. So there is that. Is that Tony Amonte on their defensive core? Tommy Amonte. Yeah, damn, that would have been funny if it was Tony. And then goalie-wise, they do still have a good goaltending combination. Ulf Svedberg, we've seen this guy before in the playoffs. Career-long Arizona Coyote goaltender. And then they also have Gustavo Blackburn, our former backup goaltender that we drafted before. Damn, man. Gustavo Blackburn, huh? Good old Gustavo. And then depth-wise, they have Craig Marcoux and Dustin Gabo. I think we have a chance. But it might be an even matchup for the most part. We definitely have the better defensive core, and they have the better goaltending, considering Tyukin got injured. But we have probably a balanced approach on offense compared to theirs. Maybe a little bit better on the winger sides for us, but in terms of down the middle, we're pretty similar because they have the 2 better centers, but we have the better depth in a sense. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll have the finale of the series. We'll go on until we get eliminated from the playoffs. And then if we get eliminated early on, it'll turn into a recap episode where we go through Vance's stats and all that type of thing. Send anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.